Hello everybody and welcome back to the dungeon. Today in the video I'll show you guys how I sculpt my Greenstuff skulls. First thing to do is talk about the tools, and what I use is a couple different clay shapers, my X-Acto knife, and a wax shaping tool. We'll also be using some Vaseline to prevent the tools from sticking to the green stuff. And without too much prelude, let's just jump into it. So the first thing I do is that I slice out a roughly 3mm thick strip of green stuff. Peel off the nylon edges and roll it till I get everything mixed into a green mixture. Yeah. Once this is done, I put the green mixture on the head of a pin, and so that I'll have something to hold while I shape the skull. Here you can also see the lovely model I'm using for my sculpting. It's just a plaster skull that I made out of a skull ice cube mold. Using the X-Acto knife, I push in on the lower third of the skull from both sides to create the rough shape of cheekbones and a jaw. Then I push on the back of the skull to push the jaw forward, and I use the knife to slowly shape it into the rough approximation of a jaw. Doesn't have to be perfect yet, since this is just the rough start. Now you should know that it's important when you're starting to work on the green stuff itself. Green stuff starts out really clay-like, very soft, and slowly becomes harder and harder to shape. Most people actually prefer to wait a couple of minutes before starting to work on the green stuff. This makes it a little bit, gives it a little bit more body, makes it a little bit stiffer and actually easier to work with. Now once my cheekbones are well defined, I use the pointy edge of the clay shaper to poke in 2 eye holes, and then use the same clay shaper to create 2 creases above each eye, and the rounded part of the clay shaper to create 2 creases to the side of each eye. And this will create my skull ridges and will give my skull a more natural look. Then I go in with the clay shaper into the eye and push from the inside out, getting the brow to be more accentuated and more pronounced. Now you should notice that the shape of the eye sockets is going to give a lot of character to the skull. If you make your eye sockets pointy at the outer side, their skull will seem more angry. And if you make them pointy at the lower outer side, they'll seem more pensive or sad. So if you have a specific feel you want your skull to give, you should be aware that the eye socket shape will give it a lot of character, and you should choose wisely when you're shaping the eyes. Now at this point I simply go over and with a clay shaper to accentuate those creases and skull ridges till I really feel that they're the shape that I want them to be. At this point, I took the sharp edge of the clay shaper and pressed at the center of what I made into the jaw and pushed backwards with it. This pushes Greenstuff backwards, creating the semblance of a jawline, of a jawbone line, and hollows for where the teeth are going to be. Now, using the pin, or one of my access pins, I poked in a nose hole and then used the X-Acto knife to cut in lines for the lower jaw and upper jaw, and then slowly slices for where teeth are going to be. Now this whole thing is roughly half a centimeter tall, or even less. So you don't have to have everything exact. You just need to make it seem like there are teeth, to make so that once you paint it, the washes will have creases to go into to define, so that you'll have defined teeth. Now, another thing that I notice is that a lot of times when you create the skull, you forget that humans have a forehead, and you don't leave enough material above the eye sockets. So when you do make a skull, be sure to leave some material above the eyes. And that's it. When you're done and you feel that you can't make it any better, simply stick the pin on the top of a bottle and leave it to dry. That's it, everybody. Thank you guys for waiting till the end and sticking with me. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you here next week. Till then, have a good day.